All right. This is I don't know, this is probably like book life, writing life, blog. This is my personal blog, Jeff Carroll. I'm a science fiction writer, and I write to kind of give my opinion, to help other writers, probably even help myself. Sometimes I need to hear the same thing that I said a previous time. Sometimes I read my own books just to remember how certain elements that I may have forgot, especially with writing horror, genre fiction. Sometimes things are specific to certain genres. You just go back and read your writing, or you read other writers in that genre. So this particular blog is how I got into writing, what made me become a writer. And there is a reality to physical contact, or just being asked a question in person, as opposed to just answering a question that you thought of, right? So my little cousin visiting from Virginia, shout out to Kiara, she asked me very innocently and authentically, like, wow, what made you become a writer? How did you know? And that question coming from her 16-year-old young lady was a different question coming from a reporter, coming from another writer, coming from a peer, right? So I gave a really good answer that I kind of want to share. I don't know how everybody else got into writing. I'd love to hear how you got into writing myself. You never know, maybe it connects with you and it inspires you. I have no idea what will come from making this video, but I want to share it anyway, and let's see what comes, So anyway, I said that, and I always say foremost that I'm a liar, right? I like to tell stories, and as a child, my cousin Greg and I used to go to 42nd Street movie theaters to check out movies. The cool thing is, in New York, if you had the train fare, hell, even if you didn't have the train fare, if you just felt like hopping the train style, little kids, they ain't arresting no little kid. They'll grab you, and they'll at least in the 70s and the early 80s, they would scream at you, but they wasn't doing anything. They wasn't arresting you for jumping a turnstile. So at around 11, 12 years old, I was in middle school, and I used to hang out with my cousin Greg. We used to go down to 42nd Street and catch the movies, and we saw adult movies. As long as he's tall, he was taller than me. I'm older than him. So if he looks old, we might have looked the same age. Whatever, I have no idea. They let us in the movies. Most of them was kung fu movies, but then we also saw some Death Wish type movies, Vice Squad. Movies definitely big time from that era, and we loved them. So we used to come back and tell everybody about the movies, and we got good at it. We used to tell the movies so good, at least I know I did, but Greg was in there. Every straight man needs their laugh track. I'm not gonna diss Greg like that, but nah, we got so good that I enjoyed telling the stories. I used to come back to Jersey and tell my friends about the movies that we saw, and I just, that part of me resonates with an early element of me storytelling. So did I know I wanted to be a writer at that time? Maybe not, but as a writer, I definitely go back to that time period and feel like when I'm writing a book, I am writing to a group of people standing around whose interest I have to keep. It's like when you're talking to your friends and you say, yo, and this happened, they want to fast forward, they want to rewind, whatever. They don't have time for nothing corny. So if you start rambling and you going off subject, they're finished with you. And when people say your story drags Like I had a comic book, and it was like it was telling me so much irrelevant information. And I met the writer. We're friends now on Facebook, and I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to him, although I'm developing the nerve to say to him, dude, is this a graphic novel or is this an action comic? Because there was no, how do you do a trade, not just a 24-page comic, but a trade with no action? Oh, it's crazy. So I lost interest. If it was not a friend's comic book and I wasn't going to see them, then boom, also talking to people in a circle, you get an idea of what is really their interest. Sometimes as a liar, which all of us fiction writers are, if you write fiction, you're a liar. You're not telling the truth. This stuff didn't happen. So you're a liar. So sometimes you can supersize your lies. If you realize, saying, he had one short leg isn't going to do it for everybody. You say, he ain't have no leg, you know what I'm saying? Or he knocked him out, wasn't good enough. No, he knocked his head off. And then you get that, wow, whoa. And that, for me, I write those type of stories. So I love to hear that type of, that's the reaction that I'm going for. So now, those are some of my earliest elements. Another thing that helped me get into writing was I wasn't good at reading. And of course, reading goes hand in hand with writing. It got so bad with writing that sometimes I would forget how to write cursive, write my name, forget spelling, the whole mechanics of writing. I remember in elementary school, I used to have so much fun on summer break that I would forget these fundamental things. So in elementary school, my mother hired a tutor for me. I can't remember her name. Dang, beautiful lady too. Had a dope German Shepherd right next to my friend Taika. So I used to go over there. I think it was in the 5th grade or 4th grade, and I got a tutor. And that might have done some good for me. Miss Stevens, right? Miss Stevens was her name. So it might have done some good for me, no question. However, when I got into middle school, my reading teacher, Miss Morris, had us reading Scholastic books. And Scholastic books had a regular pace to them. So if, for me, I could read the words, but I just didn't have the time, the patience, the concentration to go word for word in the story and read it all the way through. So what I did was I used to figure out how to find the answers. And like a lot of little kids, I did it backwards, or I did whatever I had to do. Either way, I did so many of the books, and I got so good at deciphering the stories, like what was gonna happen. Once I figured out what was gonna happen, they still probably had the Act 1, Act 2 story setups. So as I did that, I would go in there, and then I became a fiction writer. And when I wrote my answers, I would elaborate. I would say, and it made them feel a certain way. And this is why, oh my God, I threw so much layers on there. It was good because, again, I'm elaborating. Now, let me pause. My cousin Greg was actually even more, he should write fiction. I'm going to tell him, even though he's corny, I think. But there's ways to solve corniness. My mother told me a story. She used to love to tell a story. I know she told my wife about Greg being so full of crap, right? When he was little. And full of crap doesn't mean dishonest, so let me not put that out there. So much of a jokester, so much of a prankster. So when she would say full of crap, played all the time, right? We used to always laugh and play. That's the way you want kids anyway. So she said one time he read a book to her, and she could read the words. He was not saying any of the words on the page, but he read her the story, looking at all of the pictures, and totally made up a story that was capable of going with the pictures of that story. Now, you might say that's a sign of illiteracy. there's some point of the story or reading that is literate when you reading pictures. And even though it's not word literacy, there is something that they're taking from the story. And that skill, that imaginative skill, is definitely what is needed in writing. So now that's my cousin's story, and I don't have no idea how it fits in. But my mother used to laugh about that all the time. Anyway, I won the reading contest in, I think it was 8th grade, 8th grade, with Miss Morris, and that gave me the fuel to believe I could read or something. I have no idea, because I still didn't pick up books. I love the covers of science fiction books, and 50 years old, I talk to other white people and they're like, oh, I used to read fiction ever since I was little. I never could get into the stories. The characters behaved weird. Their names was weird. I used to love Conan the Barbarian because of the pictures. The graphic illustrations was hot. The muscles, the anatomy, the detail, it was inspiring. But did I pick up a science fiction book? No. Sometimes they even look too thick. The fantasy books and the word, of course you can't pronounce the words and they understand all of that. And fantasy gives you like 10 chapters of backstory. Chapters might be like 20, 30 pages long. So it was a lot for me, So anyway, when I got into high school, the Apollo Theater reopened. And my mother used to write for newspapers. She used to write as a member of Adelco, which is a play, off-Broadway play organization, and she used to be a reporter for them. So she would go in to the plays as a member of the press and meet all the actors. Yes, I met Denzel Washington back when he was doing Soldier Story, and my next door neighbor's brother was Adolph Caesar, and he was in Soldier Story too. So big times, and she used to write just, such and such had a good day. This play was about this play won, and she was getting in free. So Michael Jackson, and I'm jumping, Michael Jackson and his brothers had the Victory Tour, and I wanted to go. So she was like, well, I'll talk to the newspaper. If you can get tickets, maybe you can write something in the newspaper. And I didn't get passes to go, but the newspaper did approve my story, and it ran in the paper. And I was like, oh my God, I think I still have that article. It's the Connection newspaper. So immediately after that, my mother, I don't know how the heck this happens in the 11th, 12th grade, but I'm driving. My mother was like, yo, you want to go to the Apollo Theater? I'll see if you can get an article. I don't know who pitched it, whatever. I got a running article in the newspaper, and I'm writing on amateur night for this newspaper in my hometown, black newspaper, the Connection newspaper, Teaneck, New Jersey. So every Wednesday from my senior year all the way through college, I'm covering this amateur night at the Apollo. I did it so much when I used to go to school back and forth that sometimes I would skip and I would just do the top dog and then the final contest, but I didn't go every week, but I still kept up with, like, yo, who was this person that won? What song did they sing? What was their act? And I did this so much so that when Showtime, the Apollo became a show, I gave up writing and I jumped in and I worked for Apollo Showtime for 15 years. Anyway, after I was writing for the amateur night, I met another writer, because now I can get invited to other events. They had the Teen Music Awards, other things at the Apollo Theater. I met Kid and Play, I met Run DMC, I met all these people. I'm getting quick soundbite interviews. I wasn't formally sitting down with a press kit and interviewing them, but I did get, to ask them questions, and I was covering the event. I then met this other Don Thomas out of Brooklyn, who wrote for the Big Red newspaper, and with the Big Red newspaper, he invited me to be a movie critic. I I got to see Boys in the Hood, House Party. Then I saw other ones like Hanging with the Homeboys. God, Matty Rich had another one. I can't remember. It wasn't Vampire in Brooklyn, but those were all like the movies that I reviewed. And it was cool. However, I had a bad experience. And I'm going to end the story here because I'm going on too long. But I had a bad experience. I went to see a screening because sometimes these movie screenings were becoming popular. Like Boys in the Hood. Normally, when I went to see a movie screening, it was in a screening room, like a classroom, and it was maybe 20 seats, right? And that was it. And they would give you a press kit or folder with the pictures and all that in there, the bios of each of the actors, clips from the movie, and you could give them to your publisher, and they would print those. Of course, now everything is electronic, so you get it off the website. But Boys in the Hood was premiered by WBLS, and it was in a movie theater. And I was like, dang. And then so the next one, Under the Cherry Moon, was Prince's follow-up to Purple Rain. Prince came to the screening. Oh my God. Prince came to the screening. And if you remember the movie Under the Cherry Moon, Under the Cherry Moon, it was trash, right? Or it wasn't good. Back in those days, we didn't say trash. Anyway, it was a packed house. I didn't know Prince was there. Most people didn't know Prince was there. He arrived early, and the movie bombed. And people were like, this is New York. This ain't got to be the Apollo Theater. If it's not doing good, people's going to let you know, black audience. So Prince got up, he said something to the audience, he was mad, and he walked out. And I was like, wow. So for me, I kind of liked going to movie premieres, but between Under the Cherry Moon and Boys in the Hood, I didn't always like the experience in the movie. Like Boys in the Hood, I had stopped reviewing movies. I was still using my pass though, and I came to the movie with a 40 ounce. And that movie was so enjoyable. I didn't even have a seat. I sat in the theater, drinking my 40, watching Ice Cube drink a 40 on the screen. It was the best experience in the world. Except I didn't have my girlfriend with me or none of my boys, but you know, it is what it is, you know. I was in the theater with a whole lot of people. So this is the longest blog that I've ever done. I want to stop it right here. Hopefully, you know, this will inspire, but maybe I'll finish it at the end, you know, when I come back from this event, and I'll do a part 2. All right, but thank you.